Okay, so welcome, guys. I have with me Dominic Mensah. Hi, Dom.
What's going on, Lucy, right?
Yeah, all good. So today we're just having a bit of a chat about the recent topic that is or was on the 21st of March, and that is the International Day for Elimination of Racial Discrimination. So yeah, just kind of get your thoughts on it, and yeah, just kind of get an insight to what you think and how you feel within the sport. So just to kind of get started and let everyone know who you are, what you do, and etc. Just yeah, start us off from how you got into the sport of gymnastics and your background within it.
Yeah. So, hi guys. Pleasure to be here with Lucy. Known her a long time, so always happy to speak with her, especially on such a big topic. So, my name is Dominic Mensah. I'm a tumbling gymnast for Great Britain, and I have been on the squad now for 9 years. This will be my ninth year in the squad. So, I've been doing gymnastics as a whole for 16 years now. This actually be my 17th year doing the sport. I started when I was 4 years old. My first club, Southwark Gymnastics Club in London. I came up through the ranks through there, and I was there until I was 13. And then when I was 13 years old, I'd won a couple of British medals. I'd made my GB debut, but because the gym didn't have the greatest facilities, I had to move on to another gym, to Pastures New. So that's when I moved on to Pinewood Gymnastics Club, where the greats, Lucy Kovac and Yasmin Tate, Will Cohen, all of those guys have trained. So I was there from 2013 up until about 2018. Had an excellent 5 years there. Really achieved a lot, learned new moves. Credit to my coach Rob at the time, who was really brilliant to me, and we did some great work over those last 5 years. And then from 2018 onwards, I started university. So obviously I need to dedicate more time to studies and things like that. So I didn't have enough time to travel and whatnot. So I started working with Rob and Kath at Spelthorne Gymnastics Club. So I've been working with them now for 3 years. And yeah, they've been sort of, coaching me into, my senior days. And yeah, it's all going well. So achievement wise, world team champion last year with the boys in Japan, top eight at the World Championships in Russia at senior level, junior European champion with the team in 2016, two times British champion at junior level, and a junior world bronze medalist in 2017 as well. So yeah, that's a little background.
Nice, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got,
brilliant.
I've got a decent resume, a decent one.
Yeah.
Nowhere near Lucy's.
No, you're there. You're definitely there. Uh, how has your experience been as a black man in the sport of gymnastics?
Mm. I'd say overall positive. I think we've got a very welcoming community, especially within, Great Britain gymnastics. My teammates, I've never ever felt singled out or not a part of the group because of my skin color whenever we've been to camps or at squads, and also at, any of the clubs I've been at. Obviously, I started off at Southwark. Obviously, there's a lot of, Black Afro-Caribbean boys and girls there. So obviously I'm me as as an African boy, I'm not going to feel out of place there. But
Mm.
obviously, even as I moved on to, Pinewood and Spelthorne, where there may not be as many people that look like me, I've never, felt out of place or uncomfortable or anything like that. So, my experience as a black man has been good. Even when I've gone abroad, we hear all the time, black football players, and especially, well, in football, obviously one of the biggest sports in the world, whenever they go away to like, certain countries, sometimes the reception is not the greatest, and
Mm.
they suffer from racism. And I've been to other countries where these incidents have happened, and I haven't seen or heard them. They may have happened behind my back, but I haven't seen or heard them. So overall, I've had quite a positive experience as a black man in
Good.
gymnastics. But I do appreciate that it isn't like that for all black gymnasts, and my heart goes out to those people that haven't had it as easy as myself.
Yeah, definitely. Um, okay, so there's definitely been a tipping point in race relations over the past year or so. How have you seen, or how have you experienced the Black Lives Matter within these recent times?
Yeah. First of all, um, I think how the conversation sparked is absolutely terrible. A man, that was, brutally murdered, in my opinion, in Minnesota. Rest in peace, George Floyd. And was treated less than a human being should be. And I think it was definitely because of his skin color, because you know there is, you know, within police forces and stuff like that, there could be underlying sort of biases in their forces, and they do need to address that if that is the case. But you know, through that great tragedy sparked something that was really, really beautiful for me. Seeing so many people come together to support, you know, their black friends, you know, their black family. You know, I
Mm.
feel like if you enjoy anything from the sort of black culture, whether that be food, music, you've got friends, you know, you like going to the countries, you know, loads of people love going to Jamaica, Kenya, so on and so forth. This is your fight as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And if it's our problem and you enjoy stuff from our culture, it should be your problem as well. And, you know, I managed to get out to a couple protests. I went to one in Kingston, which is not too far from me. And I went to one in sort of South London as well, one of the big ones where there are a lot of personalities and stuff like that. And it was so beautiful to see everybody coming together, black, white, Asian, and, you know, and it's beautiful to see that it's not black versus white, it's everybody against this horrible thing called racism. And that's what I thought was really, really beautiful for me. And seeing all the support on social media as well, you know, not only the black squares, you know, there's people posting, you know, information about racism, you know, little microaggressions that, you know, maybe some people have, and they don't even realize, or little biases, subconscious biases that people don't even realize that can be quite harmful. You know, sharing that information is so important, and I saw a lot of that, especially during that period, sort of between, you know, when George Floyd was brutally murdered and sort of over the summer. Fair enough, like most things, sometimes it kind of dies out a little bit, but for that period of a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, you know, the unity was beautiful, and I really, really love seeing it and seeing everyone come together.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just going on from that, do you feel that, especially the UK as a country and also within sport, do you think there's been enough coverage in and out of sport?
Mm. I think in sport they're getting a lot better. They're getting a lot better within sport. You know, a lot of people coming onto, you know, Sky Sports and stuff like that, talking about it. You know, sometimes I went through a period where I used to go through the comments on social media, and honestly, some of them just make me so sick. It's like some people really they'd really just brush this under the carpet and forget about it because it doesn't affect them. So, you know, and I think that's really horrible. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to support the cause, you know, for me, if you really don't want to support the cause, you're part of the problem, essentially, for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
You know, not getting too political or anything like that. I just feel as though this is about black people being treated horrifically because of their skin color. And I don't care about any other political party or anything like that, or anything that people may try turn BLM into. I just believe in the words Black Lives Matter. I don't believe in anything else in terms of the politics and stuff like that. I just want to focus on the people and trying to, you know, do what I can, and hopefully the people around me and people around the world who support the cause doing what they can as well. I think in terms of outside of sports, I'm kind of obviously tuned into more sports as a sportsman,
yeah, yeah, of
but
course.
obviously there was a lot more conversation in sort of, especially in that sort of concentrated period between, you know, George Floyd's murder and sort of the sort of 8 weeks after that. Like I say, like the world unfortunately keeps going round, and there's always a news story and so on and so forth. So it can't stay in the news at front and center all the time. But like I say, it's still up to us as the community and the people that do believe in Black Lives Matter to just keep it going on our own
Yeah.
platforms, even if it's not in the news.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree. And even even now, I see it on a regular basis, you know, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook occasionally if I'm on there. But yeah, to because it's, well, it would have nearly been a year now in summer this year. So to know that it's actually, like you said, as even though the world goes round, there's more and more news happening. Um, to see that and people are still, you know, actively supporting it, it's just, yeah, that for me, that's really nice to see.
Yeah,
You know, I've not experienced it firsthand, which is why we want to speak to you, you know, as a black man. So yeah, to see that still on social media and still on news, I feel like that's, you know, I feel like we're getting somewhere as a
yeah,
whole, kind of uniting.
indeed.
Um, so yeah, going on from that, Virtue fully support the cause and, you know, Black Lives Matter, and are doing a lot to try and, you know, raise funds and contribute and donate. Do you think there are other clubs in there that are doing enough, or do you feel like they could do more within general
Yeah.
sport?
Yeah, I think first thing, big ups to Virtue for absolutely supporting the cause. You guys obviously have done your charity work, Black History Month, you were doing posts about, Black history and gymnastics and so on and so forth. So I absolutely have to big up you guys for that. Even me, as a Black man, I really, really appreciated that and appreciated the effort from you guys. So kudos to you guys. In terms of other clubs in gymnastics, it would have been nice to see, some more support, and so on and so forth. But I do feel some people, because there might not be as much sort of a Black population within a club and so on and so forth, they may just naturally forget about it and stuff like that. So I think it's just important to really just keep in touch with these things, because even though there may only be a small percentage of your club that has a Black members and so on and so forth, I think it's really, really important to, let them know that you care and you support them and stuff like that. And I think obviously where it's such a big debate, there are some people that, completely dismiss what Black Lives Matter is, and they try and focus on the politics and stuff like that and try and make it out and so on and so forth. I'm not going to claim I know it all. I might not know it all, but for me, I just believe in the statement, Black Lives Matter. And I hope, everybody else kind of realizes that's what it's about, not about all this other politics stuff and presidents and all that sort of thing. So it would have been nice to see, more clubs post about it, even if it's just a poster, of solidarity, for the Black community in gymnastics, the Black community within their club, the Black community within sports in general, and within the world, to just kind of show that support. So that would have been nice to see. But like I say, big up Virtue, for doing their part, and hopefully, maybe more clubs can follow suit in the future.
Yeah, definitely. During the last couple of years, or the last year especially, there have been Black athletes that have taken the center stage really to try and kind of eliminate this racial discrimination. What are your thoughts on this?
I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think it's so important that people with a platform use their platform as much as possible to highlight anything, any social injustice, not even just racial injustice. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Asian hate in America. There's a lot of people standing up for that, people with small platforms, people with big platforms. And that's brilliant, because that is terrible and that needs to be highlighted and it needs to be stamped out. So if we can get, Anthony Joshua's, LeBron James's, to really, really speak out on these issues, Raheem Sterling's, Marcus Rashford's, and all of these people to really use their platform to speak out on these matters. It might not solve everything, but we get a little bit closer, because, these people have followings and a lot of people will follow what these people do. So if they're promoting, that this is bad, we need to support the people that are being attacked. I think it can only do well, and I think especially for the young kids as well, to kind of see their role models trying to stamp out these things is going to be so key. And just going back to your last question on the clubs, I just feel as though any sort of me as a Black man, I'm 20 years old, I'm becoming a man. I don't necessarily need the sort of external validation from another club and so forth supporting the cause, because I support the cause and I know what I see in it. But I just think for maybe the young, impressionable, Black gymnasts and so on and so forth, to kind of see that support from their club, for referring back to your last question, and from, their role models in sport and just in life, supporting, Black Lives Matter, is going to really, 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 really mean a lot to them, and they're going to really be grateful for that support.
Yeah. Do you feel like, just as you mentioned, do you feel like the younger Black generation, do you feel like I'm not sure how to word this, but do you feel like they're aware of what's happening now?
I think it's because I think for sure they are aware, because their parents probably have conversations with them about racism and things like that, and things to look out for, especially when they get into maybe their sort of teenage years and stuff like that, especially when they go on to meet a lot of new people at secondary school and all those sorts of things. And I think obviously, a lot of, young people on social media, they'll see things, things go around very, very quickly on social media. So they probably will be aware of it. And I think they should be aware of it, because it, especially for the young, Black gymnasts, it does affect them. And if they're, if they're really keen, they should ask questions to their parents, people who can teach them about what's going on, so they can, stand up and fight as well and be educated fighters for this cause as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree with that. Just going on from, the high athletes out there, like you mentioned, you are one of those athletes, you know, as a Black man, you're there on the world stage. What made you, I mean, it was probably an easy decision, but what made you decide that you wanted to speak openly about the BLM?
So obviously the first thing, as a Black man, it directly affects me. It directly affects me. It directly affects my family. You know, and it's something obviously I feel a lot close to. You know, as it does affect me. So it was a very, very easy decision to be a part of it. Like I say, I don't have all the knowledge in the world. I'm not trying to change the world or anything like that. But for me, just within my own circles, I was trying to post as much as I can about it, post information about, especially about microaggressions, because for me, that's what kind of keeps racism alive, those sort of microaggressions and little biases. So just sharing something on your story, you know, somebody might think, oh, click, oh, maybe I do this thing. And, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily on purpose, it's just by accident. And then you just adjust your behavior. That's it. The same thing with what's going on at the moment with Sarah Everard, rest in peace. You know, obviously there's a big call on men to really, you know, get their act together, us as a male community, to really protect our women. And it's not an attack on us. You know, we all probably have little microaggressions towards women that we need to sort out as well. So, and, you know, the women out there sharing those pieces of information, the men out there sharing those pieces of information, you know, that's good for everyone, good for men especially, because they can click on that and see, oh, maybe I have this little behavior, this little habit about me that I need to take out to hopefully, you know, stop the cycle, stop that sort of vicious cycle. So I think it's, yeah, just in general, it is very, very important to use your platform. For me as a Black man, to keep using my platform where I can, and just keep being a good role model in my community, especially towards, you know, the Black community as well. So yeah, it's definitely important.
Yeah, nice. Okay, do you envision a time where racial inequality is eradicated from our sport, or sport in general?
Yeah, in sport in general. I'd love to think so. I'd love to think so, and I think that should be the goal. That should definitely be the goal, and we shouldn't stop until we get as close to that as possible. It might be hard to eradicate it completely. There's always going to be one person in one corner of the earth, you know, that's gonna, you know, spout, you know, racism and stuff like that. And, you know, there's gonna be one gullible person that's gonna follow them, and there'll always be that little community that want to keep it going and stuff like that. But I think the key is education, especially when people are young. When sports people are young, education about these things, about little microaggressions and racial biases and stuff like that. I think it's very, very important that, you know, we really hammer it home, especially with the young people, because they're going to eventually replace us one day. We're not going to be here forever. You know, we'll have our time, and they're going to grow up and become the adults and have their time. Then they're going to have, you know, kids below them, you know, young people below them, and hopefully they will teach them, you know, those same core values that, you know, you should only judge somebody by their character, nothing else. Not their color, you know, we can go on and on, disability, anything like that. It should only be the content of their character that you should judge people on, and how people should be treated. Everyone should be treated equally.
Yeah, 100%. I think everyone would agree with it. Well, most people would agree with that statement you just made. In terms of when you were talking about, you know, the younger generation and constantly being taught from their parents, etc. Do you feel, or has there been any news about whether they're going to teach it in schools?
I'm not sure, but that's something I think would be really positive. Would be really, really positive to kind of integrate that. Like, I know it's not your maths, your English, your science, you know, those core subjects, but to kind of integrate that on a sort of citizenship, PSA, PSHE kind of level. Yeah, I think I got that right. I remember learning that in primary school. So kind of just to teach it on that level. And just, yeah, really kind of integrate into the curriculum. And I think as well, something that I'm quite passionate on, that I, you know, kind of read up on, is when it is time for Black History Month and things like that, I think it's very, very important. You know, obviously slavery is a part of Black history, but let's teach about positive Black history as well. The kings and queens of Africa, so on and so forth. Obviously, you know, you can already see the LeBron Jameses, the Simone Biles already creating, you know, history right in front of us for the Black community. But I think making Black history positive as well as, you know, teaching, you know, the horrible stuff, you know, the stuff that, you know, has contributed to the way society is now, let's try and mix in some positive stuff and really, really make, you know, Black History Month, you know, nice and balanced, not too negative, but at the same time teach, you know, people that, you know, there's Black excellence that comes out of the Black community, especially for the young Black kids who are very, very impressionable as well.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree there. I mean, when I was at school a long time ago now, from what I remember, it was like you say, just talking about slavery, and there wasn't really anything positive that we were learning about it. It was, you know, it made us sad, and it was, yeah, very negative. So I would like to hope that in schools now, or even from, you know, what's happened to George Floyd, and, you know, since it's become a bigger matter, that it will be introduced into schools. I feel like that is something that, yeah, would be very positive and just help educate, really.
Precisely. It's all about education. I think if I say one thing constantly during this interview, it's just that education. You know, for some people, maybe people in the older generation, you know, they are unfortunately stuck in their ways, stuck in their thought processes. You know, you won't convince them. So it's up to us to really, you know, make sure the younger generation know about racism, how racism is portrayed. It's not just saying this, that. It's kind of in thoughts and you know, thoughts and unconscious biases as well that kind of filter into everything that we do. And like I say, you know, I think if we can get that education aspects right, especially with the young kids, we're going to slowly, hopefully get to that goal where, you know, maybe it's not eradicated completely, because to eradicate something completely is very, very hard. Obviously we should aim for that, but where it's eradicated as much as possible.
No, definitely, I agree. Well, is there anything else you would like to say on the matter that you feel that, you know, you've got a voice and you are using your voice brilliantly? And yeah, if there's anything you want to voice now.
Yeah, I think just in general, if there's any, you know, sort of informative, educational posts about racism that you see, just give it a share on your Instagram. You know, it doesn't matter if you got 30 followers or 30 million. Do you know what I'm saying? I think just doing it within your own community is very, very important. And I think also another thing, I feel like sometimes it's very, very easy to kind of, you know, for people outside the Black community to ask their Black friends about racism. And sometimes they might not know all the answers, and they might not feel comfortable being a spokesperson for Black people and about racism. So I think if you're very, very keen about learning about it and trying to, you know, support your Black friends, you know, go and do a little Google search, go and like read a little article about it and something, or something like that. So I think like I say, education is very, very important. And, you know, if you see, you know, sort of racism, you know, in conversations, little microaggressions, you know, call it out for sure. You know, don't be afraid to, you know, lose friends or be unpopular because you called it out, you know, because, you know, those sort of behind closed door conversations is where it still lingers sometimes. So if you call it out, you know, like I say, you might not be changing the world, being a politician on the front line, but, you know, you've done your little bit for the Black community, and we appreciate people that do that. So yeah, just education, and, you know, hopefully together as a world of sport, as a world in general, we can move further and further away from racism and into a society where, you know, everyone is treated equally.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know you mentioned previously about you doing a little film or a little kind of clip. What was that about?
Yeah. So oh yeah, I should have said this in my in one of the questions before. Obviously, while everything was you know, while BLM, you know, took center stage, you know, and was in the public eye a lot, I actually got approached to do a film about it by Luke Nutt and Nut House Media. So as soon as he made the approach, I was all aboard. You know, we had a few Zoom calls to, you know, figure out a script and stuff like that. And it was basically a film to, you know, highlight racial prejudices. You know, us as Black men, the Black male community especially, you know, people look at us and have perceptions. You know, some people think we're criminals. Some people, you know, might not think, oh, you know, if we're sports people, we're all physical, we ain't got no brains or anything like that. Those little sorts of microaggressions. So we really wanted to address that in a very, very short film. It's about 4 minutes long. And then we came together during the summer to actually film that and put that out. We actually put it out at the start of Black History Month in October. So that was, you know, I've done a lot of great things in my time, you know, won world medals, you know, I'm nearly finishing uni, which will be another great thing for me. But that is definitely one of the best things I've ever done in my life, you know, to contribute, you know, do my little bit for the Black community, you know, and hopefully whoever watched that video was touched by it and thought it was a good piece, and whoever watched it that didn't know a lot about racism and microaggressions and things like that, hopefully they learned something from that. So yeah, like I say, hopefully if you guys go onto my Instagram, you know, it will still be there on my IGTV. So yeah, big up Nut House Media, and I was super happy to be a part of that project. So yeah, it was brilliant. That's another thing I kind of did over BLM last summer as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, we'll definitely put that link into the blog as well. And Dom, it sounds like you've done a hell of a lot and you've used your voice. And for, like you said, for people with 30 followers or 30,000, that's really inspiring. And yeah, you're doing your bit to save your community. And, you know, I hope that everyone else watches this blog or, you know, listens to the video and just kind of, yeah, just sees the world in your eyes like we have today.
100%. It's all about moving towards equality, racially, gender-wise, in every sense of the world where there's been those sort of misgivings, there's been those sorts of discrimination towards any, you know, minority group or discriminated group. We need to move past that for racism, for everything. So yeah, if we can all do our bit, we're going to slowly move towards, you know, that better world and that better place for the future to come.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dom, it's lovely to talk to you. Thank you for allowing us to interview you and to have a chat with you about it. It's, you know, for us as well as Virtue, it's a really important matter, and we're glad that you were able to come and speak to us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Again, big up Virtue for all you guys are doing. You know, me as a Black man, I appreciate you. You know, I know the Black community appreciates what you're doing as well. So keep it up. Big up you, Lucy. Big up Cara. Big up everyone at Team Virtue. Take care. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, Dom. Bye.
Take care.